What is one of the ways that I can avoid sales sabotage when I'm meeting with my buyers? I'm Scott Sylvan Bell. I'm coming to you live from Sacramento, California on a perfect day to talk about sales and a perfect day to talk about sales training. And you know, here's the thing. I see weak salespeople run into this a lot. They will sit down with a buyer, they'll sit down with a client, and instead of defending their position, and instead of them doing what they're supposed to as a salesperson, they adopt all the beliefs and everything that's going on with the buyer. So I'm going to have to be very nondescript. I was helping out a company, and it was working with a call center rep, and the call center rep, here's the excuse that the buyer is making, here's the excuse of what was going on, and all of a sudden buys what they're believing and takes on their belief and then goes to the manager and says, here's what's going on, here's the situation, here's the story. In this industry, they hear this objection a lot. In this industry, they hear this thing over and over and over again, just like whatever industry you're in. Yes, I'm being very nondescript for a reason. I can't really go into details about what the company or what the industry was, but I can tell you it was a CSR, okay? So here's the thing. Anytime that you adapt the stance of the buyer, it is really hard for you to go through a closing process. It's really hard for you to hold that buyer accountable, whether it's a standard objection, whether it's an unusual objection. Now, there are times, I will tell you this, I will tell you this, there are times where the buyer is telling you the truth. But if it's a common objection that you hear, if it's a common thing that you hear, right, let's just say it's too much money. Let's give you a really good example. Right? You sell a product, you sell a service, and like no matter what you do, you're always going to, it's like the default of almost every buyer. You're always going to hear it's too much money. You're always going to hear this excuse no matter what you sell and no matter what you do. I promise you, if you're going to run a sales call today, you're going to hear the buyer say it's too much money. They're like, hey, is this really true? Is this really how much it is? Because like, it's too much money. And you're like, oh my goodness, you're right. They're like, oh, your price was inflated. It was too much money to begin with and I knew you were wrong. So the buyer says, it's too much money. And you go, hey, time out. For everything that you're getting X, Y, and Z, it's fantastic. They're like, all right, you're giving me some pushback and it's real. So when you adopt the belief of the buyer, you lose your ability to close, you lose your ability to reason, you lose your competitive advantage. And I see it a lot in every industry that I work in. I'm going to buy into what you're saying as the buyer, and I'm not going to go out and I'm not going to close my deal. It creates a lot of problems. It is one of the biggest ways for you to lose sales and lose deals. So if you could do a small favor for me in the box down below, leave a comment, question, or story, that'd be fantastic. To the right, to the left, there's a subscribe button. You know what you got to do. You got to subscribe. And then last off, you can send it out to all your friends via StumbleUpon, Facebook, Twitter, Google+. Why not even LinkedIn? Scott Sylvan Bell. We'll see you soon. Thanks for watching. Aloha.